foot.
Recording in progress.
The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Introduction to the board, we have Marie on Zoom today. And then starting with Nicole.
Nicole O'Neill, Marshawn Salvador,
DJ Anderson, Randy Carpenter,
Robert Lee.
David Bear. There's no event agenda revisions today. Approval of the board minutes from the workshop on March 9th. Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the board minutes of March 13th.
This will move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Student representative report. Comment? Yeah.
You don't get to hide from that. Come on, man. Speech.
Good here. Thank you for the opportunity to share an update from student leadership. My name is Elkanah Yotute, and I'm the ASB Vice President and also participant of Leadership in Choir. I'm also participating in the Dornbecker Fundraiser this year. We have 12 seniors participating in the event. Our Dornbecker performance is Saturday, April 22nd at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5:15 p.m. and it is $5 per person. The performance consists of 3 dances, a talent show, and an interview with all of the participants. It's a great community event, and all proceeds go to Dornbecker Children's Hospital. We also have our prom coming up next month. That is in the Abernathy Center in Oregon City on May 13th. We have ASB Student Council elections coming up for the 2023-24 school year, and that is seniors are getting excited for graduation. It's hard to believe that we are just only 2 months away. We have our senior meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity to share what we have going on now.
Are you a Dornbecker?
Yes, I am. We're practicing downstairs right now, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's why I'm very warm right now.
I love it. It's great. Everybody should go.
Yes, please do it. It's a good cause and it's a lot of fun.
Appreciate the report.
All right.
Report, Mr. Bear.
Yeah, so we'd like to start Juliet. Every 2-3 years, we've been growing our CTE program. It becomes available almost every year. So a number of years back, we did a couple of things. We put out a video on the district at large, the community at large, that we then shared at that time with all of real estate agents in the area to help them, help us promote the school, promote the community. Then after that, we went ahead and did a CTE specific video off of that. So this is the latest iteration of that video. We work with a guy, a gentleman named Michael Calcano, and so we're going to get ready to put this on our webpage and on YouTube. So we wanted to try to preview it here tonight. There still might be a few things we want to tweak, but this is just the video.
If you want to get like CTE, this is a really good school to go. Other schools don't have what we have.
Everything that sets you up for success in every other class.
CTE classes provided that extra challenge that I needed, the thing that kept me engaged in school.
We have so many different options with the facilities to do so.
The technology we are given helps prepare me for my future career.
And honestly, you gotta fail to learn, and that's what we do here, and then we move forward. I graduated Sandy High School last year, and I'm headed down to Oregon Tech in Klamath Falls to study mechanical engineering.
Biology, and then going into med school from there.
It's my 4th year in manufacturing. It's got me really far, so I got to do my own internship through it, which really is setting me up for a big future.
Unless I am challenged, I am not engaged. All the classes that I've taken have been super engaging for me, challenging at times, specifically in the agriculture department.
For whatever route I wanted to go, I can take a class that press before, drone or autos or manufacturing engineering, the natural resource management classes. After high school, I plan on going into wildland firefighting.
So I want to become an occupational therapist, giving me a lot of direction as far as what I want to do with my life in the future. So I'm very grateful for that. Miss Carter, she's so good at setting you up for the future, at preparing you for those skills and everything that you need so that when you go to college, you don't feel lost.
The robotics clubs, FFA, they have math classes, they have automotive, manufacturing, engineering, any subject that you have interest in, there's a place you can find it.
The options and opportunities for the students in the Metro School District continue to increase, and we continue to be as nimble and agile as possible to make sure that kids have access to the best programmatic offerings possible. In doing that, we've continued to modify and grow, expand our CT programs and aligning what it is we offer with real world occupations so that they can walk out of here as high school graduates, finding living wage jobs and or be successful in the military or on the college track. In 2022-23, 1,026 students are taking at least one CTE course. Students who participated in a CTE program graduated at a rate of 95%.
It's really something special that you don't see in many other places. And without these teachers here, I might not be here today.
I'm just really glad that we have the opportunities that we do at Sandy for students to find their future career paths.
Our teachers are really well prepared to prepare us for the real world. It's helped me in my high school experience. I've been prepared for every class, and I think what you take here, you take anywhere else.
So that kids do that completely unscripted. So they just go in cold. Each time we've done it, we have phenomenal kids, we have phenomenal responses. A few years back, I think we started kind of setting records. The young man mentioned the Boeing program. We historically have more students than anybody else in our county who go on that Boeing internship. So very proud of that program, the work that our teachers have done, the work that you've done to support that, and the hard work that the kids and parents put into there every single day. So that's a real point of pride for us. No, seriously, I told Julia, I think we should cut that, just leave the voice overlay and just find some other groups of kids. The outfits, or I was gonna say something about the shirt. Yeah, that's terrible. That combination is, I don't know who let me wear that, but that combination was not pleasant to look at. And so, we'll have to debate on that later. But anyway, I'm very proud of the program, CTE program, what it's done for the community, what it does for our kids. We recognized a while back that was something we really needed to go full sail into. We leveraged that measurement money years ago to really bring that to fruition on the next level. And the interesting, I guess one interesting thing is if you saw this, what looked like a skeleton, that table is called Natamage table. And I think there are 4 or 5 of them in the state. We have 2 of them here. The reason that's critical is because colleges anymore even have a hard time getting cadavers to do cadaver work, so it's a cadaver table. So you get to cut through on every single plane. Myriad pictures and images from pregnant women, the babies in utero, to young samples of young men, adult men, etc., knees, hips, back, you need watch digestion take place. It's far more interactive than anything that I ever had access to at college. If you ever went to college and you stood over a cadaver table, it's quite disgusting, quite frankly, and the smell is just, it's formaldehyde and the whole thing, right? So this is phenomenal. It's literally cutting edge. And I think there are, again, 4 or 5 of them. In the Metro, we have 2 of them. And I know our rep said that Portland Public is trying to buy 3, I think, here in the next 2 years. So, like I guess a better way of saying the kids have access to the best programming in that department specifically. Last month, Sue Crosby presented some questions about the Portland Water Bureau's construction right adjacent to, construction road adjacent to Oregon Trail Academy. We've been in communication with Sue, myself, Tim, and then I don't know where Julia is. Julia has been in communication with Multnomah County, Portland Water Bureau, and then Clackamas County. Wrote a letter stating what our concerns were with the project, so close to the school, using it for emergency exit, and the like, the volume of traffic. It's not necessarily a high traffic intersection, but it is a relatively high collision intersection, right? For our community, where Proctor comes in, you have 362nd, you have Bluff. It's kind of awkward. We've all driven that. Well, I shouldn't assume, but I think most of us have driven that in our community. We wrote a letter. Portland Water Bureau made some statements that they had shared information with us a few years back. What they really did is they shared some information cursory with OTA. And since writing the letter, Julie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think some folks that had the property that were agreed to the easement with Portland Water Bureau have since rescinded that agreement or that consent to have that easement constructed. So now Multnomah County is having to pump the brakes on that project as it relates to OTA. Our primary concern when we took a look at it was really their TSP, their transportation service plan, and how they had the trucks coming in, the construction piece. We could have dealt with some construction of a road, I suppose. The construction takes place all the time. We live on a highway, right? It was really, for us, it comes down to using, at some point, it's an emergency road, then it's an everyday road. And if it's an emergency road, are those chemicals hot? Right? What type of chemicals are they? Can they guarantee that those chemicals aren't going to create a situation which could evacuate schools, aren't going to disrupt our transportation routes? And I don't know that they can do that. So this will give them some time to pause, to have some more dialogue with the folks that we're going to work in conjunction with them with easement, Multnomah, Clackamas County, working more jointly, and then hopefully they get back to us and say, here's our plan about TSP for this project, and then we can make some decisions that relates to our transportation services and how those might be impacted in the event that road does ultimately go through. Now I know originally, way back 4 years ago or so, they had a separate kind of emergency route that they could also take. And so our perspective at the time was, this is a Multnomah County project, just in Multnomah County. And as you know, once they come over this that line, now you have it's a multi-jurisdictional project, and that becomes a problem for us. So our hope is that they would keep, I guess I'm going to say very delicately, a Multnomah problem in Multnomah County. That's our take on it. So we wrote a letter. We wrote it from our insurance guy. That's going to signed it, and we wait to hear from. Job fair. People are still looking for teachers in the state, and TSBC, the Teacher Standards and Practices Commission, has done a lot with licensure to try to remove a bunch of barriers for folks to become educators. So there's still a lot of folks that want to be engaged. It's not a matter of finding teachers, if you will. It's a matter of finding folks in those high demand disciplines, speech, language, pathology, occupational therapy, those types of things. What happened at one point in time, the Teachers and Standards Practices Commission owned those licensures. So speech, language paths to go through TSBC. So Robert wants to become a speech path. He's in year 3 of this program. We say, hey, you have your license. You work on a transitional license, and you can work for a district. That now is housed outside of TSBC. So they have no control over those types of licensure. So folks have to be fully licensed. So it's our hope to find some of those high skilled, high demand, low supply educators. Fingers crossed. Lastly, we had a budget workshop. We talked about the state of the budget, the state of the state. The governor's proposal is $9.9 billion. State business managers and districts alike came up with a formula. They believe that it takes $10.3 billion to operate public schools at the current service level. So when we talk about budget, we talk about current service level. That's the service level we have this year. We talk about what it takes to roll that current service level up. And it's a roll up, it's not a roll over. It's not a one-for-one cost next year. inflation impacts everything. So the cost of doing business will go up. And the belief is that that cost goes up from what was originally budgeted for the biennium. I think it was only going to get 9.5, originally it was like 9.269 or 9.3. It would take almost $1 billion more statewide to do what we're currently doing statewide. So historically, we don't necessarily take the same approach a lot of other folks do. We try to maintain a fund balance that is sustainable, that's on the conservative front, so that way we don't find ourselves at a 2% and a 1% cash reserve. So we're never in a situation where the sky is literally falling. And as you saw in our proposal has as a budget workshop, deficit proposal was whenever you this current service someone never keeps up. We won't be in the same place a lot of other folks are this time of year. So you'll start to hear across the state, there's a lot of districts will put out proposals, say this is what 9.9 billion means to us. It means that we're cutting 16%. It means that we're cutting 3.5%. It means that we're cutting 27 teachers, this many administrators. It just it's that way. We're just not going to go out there and say that's our plight as well, because it just isn't. So there is some reserve out there. Folks think that we get above 10 billion. That's the case. Good for us. Primarily good for the rest of the district. We have some neighboring districts that are going to propose cuts and deficits far greater than the deficit that we propose. Some of that is gamesmanship to get the legislators to ante up, if you will. I mean, some of it's real. And it's hard right now telling. So we won't know. We have to have our budget solidified by July 1. But as you know, there have been years when the state just holds out on us and they don't resolve their budget until well beyond that. So.
Questions for him? I just want to say, I remember back when you go back to we interviewed the community. We're building this building. What they wanted now is one of the things the community exactly wanted. How far that's come in the last decade. And it looks like we're just on the steps, still taking it up to another level right now. Right close to me. I'm proud of the community, I'm proud of the school district.
That's not over promise.
Okay, I didn't say that.
Yeah, and I think like we say that the CTE front, performing arts front, athletic front, just general education front, I think we've done a good job. Our principals have done a good job. Our teachers have done a good job recognizing that four-year college degree is not the only way. Right? That's why you said, "Oh, it's your scripted." Well, not really, but kind of. No, but I do think it's important to let our kids know that if you're going to go to the military, if you're going to go to vocational school, if you're going to go to college, like all of those are great athletes. We want to prepare you to do every single one of those to the best of your ability. That's it. So we haven't just been a four-year college only focus district. I think that's really helped us grow that CTE program.
I can't tell you how many kids that went to college having that background of CTE and other things just besides education definitely helps with scholarships and opportunities in college as well. Any other questions for him? Moving on to the citizens agenda, Josh Hawks.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the community members that have attended tonight. If we didn't get involved, we'd have no room to complain about the district, how the district functions. Next, I would like to thank board members for their involvement and their efforts. I may not agree with some of the decisions you have made at times, but I do have to say that you have actually at least engaged in the community. Many of us do not understand how the board affects our district or what it even does in the functioning of our district. The leadership of Oregon and the Department of Education would love to reduce the effect the board has on each district and the decisions it gets to make. It is our responsibility as parents to engage in our schools and our school district. I understand that we are all busy doing what we can to support our families and raise good children that will be great contributing members to society. I have done this for many years myself, and my parents did this. From what I've heard, even my grandparents had done this. And now I look back and see that not engaging in our community left a void that was filled by the state and the Department of Education. The state now feels it is their responsibility to guide our children in a direction they see fit. I believe it is not in the best interest of our children. It is our responsibility as parents to ensure that our children are getting the proper education that they need and deserve. The parents in this community have lost their voice, and a few that have spoken up feel they are not listened to. This has been little, if any, response to our concerns, and at times we've had problems with change. Well, I'm here now to tell the teachers, administrators, and board members, current and future, that the parents of this community are here to engage. We will be here to help with positive, healthy change in the direction that we will be able to in the best interest of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments. Certified staff has no report this month, and classified staff generally doesn't report. Consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action items. Approval of the school calendars, Mr. Baker.
Yeah, so prior to the big pause that we had in public education a few years back, we used to adopt the calendar. We adopted it on a 2-year cycle, so that way we can plan in advance, teachers know in advance how the calendar was going to play out. We know that we recognize we have lots of folks that with their employment they have to put in early for vacation, what hunting season you get, all those types of things, right? And so we want to try to get back to that. So in your board packet, I have 2 proposed calendars. Calendar started out with 3 drafts. We sent it to our members. We talked with the Superintendent's Leadership Council. We talked at our board workshop about some of those drafts. And the original intent was to, historically, we've heard that span between, March and May is excessive. The amount of time that we're asking our students to go on consecutive days, teachers to go consecutive days, etc. So originally what we had is a calendar which April, there were a bunch of 4-day weeks in April. We shared that with those groups once again, and there was some sentiment that, it's good to have a break, but we don't need that much time. So then the calendars that are in front of you went to our site councils by way of our principals, and then we had a dialogue again about the trajectory of the school calendar, that board workshop. So what you see in front of you the draft there for 23-24 is just that. That's the product of dialogue with site councils, with our members, leadership council, and school board. One of the biggest changes on that, and I know folks like it, well, I think it depends on where you are. I think we had a lot of folks whose children trick or treat really like the day after Halloween off. And we had some folks who were like, my kids don't do that. That doesn't matter to me. So next year, November 1st, the day after, was right in the middle of the school week. Said, I don't know how much sense it makes to take a Wednesday off and have school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So that wasn't something that we carried over for 23-24. The rest of this calendar will look very, very familiar to you until February. We added one more day in February. Typically, we have another school day in February for students because it's rainy day, we have a holiday. So we added a day to extend that holiday in February. Thought that'd be a good opportunity to give some families a bit of a break. And then we added one more day at the end of the month there, just to try to break up the calendar a bit. And then what historically isn't done is there historically isn't any time between spring break and Memorial Day off. So we added 2 days off, one in April, one in May, on Friday, extended a weekend. It's fine students ending on a Friday the 14th, which is an atypical. We typically end school anywhere between the 9th and the 14th. Anyone in any given school year, and the teacher work year will end on June 18th. What does this do? It creates what is typical for us. We have 36 weeks in public education. At the high school level, broke it down into 2 semesters, 18 weeks in the first, 18 weeks in the second. It's oftentimes not easy to make sure that those 2 semesters are equal and that they're equally weighted in a number of days, just because of where the calendar falls. Christmas, where Christmas falls, Christmas Eve falls, the other holidays, that impacts where that schedule slides. So in the first year, the 23-24 year, the first semester has 90 days, second semester is 83 days. This still has 191 work days for staff, 173 contact days for students. The one discrepancy you'll see, and if we're not familiar with calendars, is that seniors don't have to have the same number of contact days as every other kid. So they can finish the year early. It's typically on or about 30 hours. Division 22 would say 30 hours. So that's what that originally. Questions about that?
Just really, as a working mom, I look at this and I see there's not a single full week in February. And I see that as the same period of time where, once again, we had a ton of snow days. And this creates a real burden for working families. Having not a single solid week in February where I can know where families can know they're going to go to school every day. And now you're adding extra days in April and May. That's a huge burden.
Yes, that's something that was discussed in our site councils. It's been discussed with the leadership council, and you're right, with the amount of snow days we have, it's so unpredictable. So what this does is it creates a degree of predictability that we don't currently have with snow days. So those days have been coming fast and furious for whatever reason, I don't know. I know there was talk about even this coming Wednesday potential snow. And so this creates a greater degree of predictability, and by doing it 2 years in advance, I think it was our collective perspective that we could plan for that those are the days. And then if they were snow days, there would be no impact really on us anyway. So those wouldn't count against our contact time. So that's part and parcel to offsetting that issue right now. We're 2 hours away, we're 192 hours, so we're 2 hours away of having to add time. And this would alleviate some of that without qualifying them snow days that we have to plan for and then tell kids, well, we had snow early, so now we have to come to school.
Well, so if you're going to try to cut people a break by saying, okay, well, you're not going to have school, so find childcare, now in advance, I can appreciate that. But then April and May, I mean, if you're having so much time off, I mean, parents need to know that they can send their kids to school every week. All these one-offs all over the place. I'm the only one here with kids who has to deal with this in this row of people right here. Nobody else has had to deal with that here for a long time. It's a real problem. I'm telling you, as somebody who had many, many friends with elementary school age kids, it's a real problem for a lot of people.
I can appreciate that perspective, and I'm just fortunate that my kids do miss out on some of these. At least my son does now. Like he can drive, right? So he's at the age he can take care of himself.
But you don't have to find childcare every time there's an in-service day. Every time there's a random day off in April and in May. You don't have to do that. Nobody else in this line of people here has to.
No, I totally understand that, and that's why we have it.
Horrible that was? Yeah. So why are you doing this to people?
It's the same, it doesn't change.
No, you're adding more of it. Look at this, look at that, all of those days, all of them. You just said you've added more. That's not okay.
So we took that.
People are nodding. Look at all of the nodding and the laughing.
So we took that into consideration, and that's why we have this go through our elementary site councils as well and take feedback on that. So originally, this pushed kids all the way to the 18th. And so there were far more days on this calendar. And so that was the reduction, was the result of the collaboration with the parents through site council, with the high school, middle school staff, and then with the leadership.
So the parents on site council, who are the parents with the time and the bandwidth to come, those are generally not two full-time career families.
Yeah, I would agree.
So,
Did the workshop?
no, I can't be alone with people.
Well, it was the public.
Yeah, no, I can't be alone in a room with you people. I can't be in a room with you unless I can understand the other people there. And
Okay.
you all know why.
We're gonna move on. So the next calendar uses the same philosophy. And on the second calendar, you'll see the real discrepancy is when Christmas falls. So one of the unfortunate parts about really building it around that holiday, it's customary, so we're not gonna change it, is that if you don't get a big enough break, if you don't get the break on like the 17th, then that first week in January becomes a full week off. So what you'll see in 24-25 is the first week in January is a full week off. Now, again, that day after Halloween, people like Friday, it falls on a Friday. So that Friday can become the 3-day weekend at that point, which I think is something that was articulated, that was really valued based on the previous calendars. But in this year, 2024-25, Christmas is on a Wednesday. So the Friday prior to is the 20th. Because it's on a Wednesday, it pushes that holiday all the way through the first week of January, which then pushes some of those days for the first semester and the second semester. So we had a bit of an imbalance in the first semester. Now we have a bit of an imbalance in the second semester. But at the end, it's still 36 weeks, it's still 191 days. The contact days are the same for kids, it's the same for staff.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Information and discussion, board policy AR development, superintendent.
Yeah, so we've had some conversation again through our board workshop about really solidifying transition planning and the like as it relates to, there's a number of, public education is transitions are happening all over the place in public education. Teachers transition, superintendents transition, school boards transition. So we had some dialogue about what do transitions look like for boards. We think it's critical to look at the AR as it relates to school board transitions. Nobody really has an AR across the state on that. The difference between a policy and AR is the policy outlines what must happen by way of the state, and the administrative rule is how you execute that. So we think that's an important project. Marjan is willing to take that project on, and she'll take that project on with myself and then Julie Monty, our communications director. And we'll take a look at, are there any ARs across the country that potentially satisfy something that we could do? What do ARs look like in other organizations that relate to transitions, and how do we create capacity for everybody to grow through that process and really move an organization forward so that we can be as successful as possible? So unless there's any opposition to Marjan.
So just to clarify with the board, I had discussions and this seemed like a good fit for Marjan and the district to work together. So as long as there's no opposition, we'll authorize Marjan to work with the district on this and represent the board.
I say you were.
I didn't say it.
You won't.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other information and discussion?
No, not this time.
Announcements, April 25th is the first budget committee meeting, 6 o'clock here. May 2nd is the OTA board meeting, and May 8th is our next